Chaos Zero Nightmare is a gacha game that is set to release maybe this year or maybe even next year. You've probably seen the trailers, maybe even the character teasers, and even the gameplay showcase. The devs have already given us a general overview of what is in store for the game. With that, we will have a deep dive in the combat system, exploring every nook and cranny that we can get from what CZN has to offer. I'll also discuss on the gameplay loop briefly. So, grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's get right into it. CZN is a card-based strategy roguelike gacha game that offers two major modes that feed into one another. The story mode serves as the narrative-driven progression of the game and includes stages. You usually see this in other gacha games. And as usual, you get rewards such as XP and currency for the gacha system. The other mode is the roguelike, which is called Chaos Missions. This mode offers various dungeons and increasing difficulty for players to conquer. Players start with the character's basic starter deck, progress through the dungeon, and get more powerful such as through fate cards or the passives, upgrade cards, get more cards for their deck. It was said by the devs that you can finish the mode as early as 5 minutes or last as long as even 15 minutes. Moreover, you can save your character's data and use that build or deck for your story missions. Aside from those two modes, the devs have mentioned that there are other modes or content in the game, though no examples were given. We do know, however, that there will be seasonal content and a seasonal boss game mode. I am expecting that the gameplay loop of the game is just you progressing through the dungeon runs, getting a powerful save data of your character or deck, and use it to obliterate the story missions. So now we're here at the combat section. Characters are divided into classes and elements as you can see from here. Rin, the sword babe here, is a fighter, DPS type running with a quantum dark element, not sure what it's called. The others have light and law as their element and their classes. I assume could be strategist, mage type, not sure, but we will see. This also confirms that you can only play with only 3 characters in the field. To have a deep dive in the combat system, I want to focus mainly on the UI. This part isn't scripted well, so bear with me. Let's focus on the top. Here in the upper right, we have the waves. You can see from here there are 2 waves. We have the auto button, the menu or the pause, and we have a combo here. We're not sure exactly what the combo here will imply. If I get higher combos, does that mean it will deal more damage? We'll just have to see. In the upper left, we have the character's health, which I assume are the shared health pool. So I suppose there would be no dead characters or no characters need to be revived. And underneath the HP bar, we have the gauge, which I will just call the stress meter. This meter has something to do with CZN's mental breakdown system. I'll explain that in depth later. Just remember that if this threshold reaches the maximum, which can progress from taking damage, staying longer in battle, the characters will enter a trauma state. And underneath the stress meter, there are icons of which I assume are unique for the characters kit. You can see on the screen that some characters don't have it while others have. I'm just making guesswork here, but further underneath are icons which can include status effects, buffs, and debuffs. You can see the character here uses a card that has to do with Dark Infusion, and 2 icons pop up respectively on top and the other on the center. Now, bottom of the UI, we have here the draw pile, discard pile, hand pile, which includes the cards, costs or maybe the action points, EP and the awakening skill, retry button, skip button. Just like in other traditional card games similar to Slay the Spire, you draw cards from your draw pile that enters in your hand, and if you play those cards, they enter your discard pile. And if there are no more cards to draw from your draw pile, then the discard pile just shuffles back into the draw pile. Interestingly enough, if you shuffle, you gain additional action point by 1. This opens up to the strategies wherein you want to build a concise deck rather than large one, or maybe a deck that can draw cards quickly. You can see that once the turn starts, you draw 5 cards. You can presumably draw more cards if there are passives that increases your card draw burst at the start of the turn, if the game has that, but it's something that I'm going to expect the game will have. Could be wrong, but I'm leaning to being right. Not sure how many cards you can keep in hand, but from what I've seen so far, you can keep up to 7. By the left hand side, we have EP and awakening skills. EP is a resource that can be gained as you play cards. You use the EP to use awakening skills, which I will discuss later since it does have to do with the mental breakdown system. Certain cards in your hand can have a character icon. I think these are character specific cards, whereas cards that don't have the icon are just your neutral class cards. I could be wrong, but once we get more details, we'll just have to see. Cards in your hand can have a cost ranging from being free and costing up to 2. Below your hand is what I will call the action points used to play cards. From the gameplay, it seems that you can gain 3 action points at the start of each turn. Now let's move on to the cards. In the game currently, I can confirm that there are 5 to 6 different types of cards. We have mainly skill, attack, upgrade, status ailment, and mental breakdown. And there's this awakening skill, or also called as the ego skill. This is basically the ultimate if you want to consider it as a card, go for it. I just call it an ultimate. They are all pretty self-explanatory. I'm not gonna explain them except for mental breakdown and ego skill. So remember what I told you about the stress meter? Well, once you max it out, your character is now under the state of a mental breakdown. So you guys like the mind break tag? Well, this game hits right up your alley. As you can see from the gameplay, if you have trauma, you get debuffs, and this mental breakdown cards enter your hand. While your character is mentally breaking down, you will suffer penalties when you play cards. Now, you can overcome your trauma by playing this mental breakdown cards and use it to your advantage. And your character was stated to get reduced cost in casting their awakening skills. You can see the EP cost for Haru's ult is highlighted yellow, and after overcoming trauma, her ult state is now ready to use. Though we haven't seen if the cost was actually reduced, so make that what you will. But upon checking other gameplay, we have here an image of the character freely able to use their awakening, and the cost isn't highlighted in yellow. We will just have to see and confirm it ourselves once we get our hands on this game. By the way, if you're using awakening skill, the ult icon disappears from the selection. This could mean that awakening skills have a cooldown or are used once per battle. Other things to note, if you play an attack card, it displays what I presume is the critical rate and the critical damage. Now, let's look at the enemy UI. We have here the health bar, the break bar, typical stuff. We have the status buffs and debuffs. And this three here, I don't know what this all are. I know that this number goes down as you play cards excluding your ego skill. So I guess this can be the amount of actions that you can use before the enemy acts upon. This one could be, I guess, status element resistance, and then one below is, I don't know, let's just move on. So far, this game has lots of great things going for it. The user interface is very friendly, clean, and organized. The combat being a card game will involve RNG, but it will make runs different instead of monotonous, therefore making the gameplay dynamic and changing. Strategy and knowledge of the game is a highlight since every character will have unique class cards, different kits, passives that can breathe to newer strategies and adding more depth to the gameplay. I'm excited to basically test out different teams, card combinations, meta builds, and even off-meta builds. As a whole, the base and foundation of this game is excellent. Now we just have to see the gacha system. I didn't talk about the progression since there is not enough to go around from the footage. Besides that, I just wanted to highlight the combat system. So far, this game is hitting right up my alley, and I'm considering making this game one of the mainstays in my channel for content. So CCN devs, hit me up with that sponsor. I'm waiting up for it. With that comes the end of today's video. Share your thoughts down below in the comment section and share what you guys think about Season End. It could be about combat, it could be about the gacha system, it could be about the characters, and maybe others. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Each sub really helps with the channel and I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Goodbye.
悪夢を繰り返してでも全てのカオスをゼロにカオスゼロナイトメア